So, with your kind permission, may I take a couple of minutes to introduce the department and our audience to you, sir?
You don't have to be formal, Jitin. You don't have to take my permission. But this is what you said, na VUCA world. So it's a VUCA world. So please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Good morning to one and all present here, and a hearty welcome to everyone on behalf of Department of Management Studies, IIT Roorkee. To start with IIT Roorkee, we are the first engineering college in all of the Commonwealth countries and have been minting world-class professionals for the last 175 years. Moving on to the Department of Management Studies, the department was established in 1988 and has been producing industry-ready managers for the last 23 years. The department has kept itself updated with the industry standards and opened its gates for non-engineers in 2018. It also provides dual specialization in the fields of finance, marketing, operations, and HR. The professors here are highly specialized and are amongst the best faculties of the nation. Some of them has been chosen amongst the top 2% scientists in their field by Stanford. We have been featured in various rankings and has been amongst the top 10 B schools. We have ranked first for the parameters of research and professional practice by NIRF. We were also amongst the only 5 Indian B schools featured in the Shanghai rankings. We are ranked 10th nationally by the QS World University Rankings and are also AACSB accredited. We don't settle here and are constantly trying to better ourselves, for which we maintain a faculty student ratio of 1:3, which is amongst the best in the country. We have also revamped the semester system to an 8-term system. These are some of our esteemed alumni who have achieved great heights in a relatively shorter span of time. We have alumni working at executive positions at firms like Google, Barclays, and Goldman Sachs. We have hosted over 85 lectures, and these are some of the prominent guests who have hosted at the department in the past time. To give a bird's eye view of the demographics, these are the demographics of our senior batch. The key thing to notice here is the shorter batch size to maintain quality of students. The batch size is 69 with varying levels of experience, an average work mix of 27 months. The certifications that our senior batch has are Lean Six Sigma, CFA, and CFI. The batch consists of people with varied educational backgrounds, consisting of various engineering streams, as well as a healthy mix of non-engineers. To move on to our batch has a size of 74 with varying levels of work experience and an average work mix of 28 months. The few certifications we have are Lean Six Sigma and CFA. The batch 2 consists of people with varied educational backgrounds, consisting of various engineering streams, as well as a healthy mix of non-engineers as well. So, thank you, sir. This was the brief description about our department. Now, I would like to formally introduce our guest. It brings me immense pleasure to welcome and introduce our esteemed alumni, Mr. Anurag Pandey, sir, on behalf of Department of Management Studies, IIT Roorkee. He works as the executive in charge of global wires at Tata Steel and is a top-level business executive having strategic and innovative mindset and profit center management, organizational leadership, along with people management credentials. In his career spanning over 3 decades, he has been a versatile management professional, having interpersonal and business communication skills with cross-functional experience across various steel industry verticals, and is highly skilled in P&L management, pricing strategies, competitor and market analysis, and other areas of expertise. He is an expert in anticipating and capitalizing on market trends, creating market value, and positioning the company's products and services to maximize market share, and has been instrumental in ensuring outstanding consumer satisfaction by maintaining strong working relationships with the consumers. This quality makes him stand out of the crowd. It's indeed a privilege to have such an experienced and distinguished personality at my stage. I'm glad to welcome you, sir, on behalf of DOMS IIT Roorkee to this session. Without further ado, I would like to hand the session over to Anurag, sir.
Thank you, Jitin. Thank you for the lovely introduction. And
Thank you, sir.
first of all, I think a lot of people have joined. It's very emotional to see, Roorkee at the background, and always a pleasure. It's been now 27 years. when I passed out. I did my electrical engineering in 93. I passed out, and it's been, I have visited only my during the Silver Jubilee 2000, I think 2019. I visited there. I think it brings back a lot of memories. It's a pleasure to be here. I think I was not ready, but when Sarvesh insisted, and I think I have to travel. I have a flight to catch at around 2:30, but just wanted, because it's Roorkee, I said, okay, let me change my tickets and then be here with all of you. Uh, and first of all, when I see the subject of VUCA and when I see the way you people are dressed, you're not dressed the way the VUCA world looks like. Okay. So it's a Sunday setting. I am the only one. I should have been in the blazers and the ties. I have been t-shirt, and then I'm. No, you're not seeing my shorts, but all of you are formally dressed. Good to see that. But that's the change. Huh? As a leader, which I am seeing my young team members, when I talk to them, that's the change. You know, I'm just citing an example how the world is changing, and I saw the gender ratio also. It was quite surprising that it is still quite low, 66 versus 8. I think uh, what in Tata Steel we are aspiring in all facets, not only in the white collar job, in the blue collar, we are targeting 25% as a gender diversity ratio, and we are also starting to talk about, that's the VUCA world. Again, I'm just setting context. I'm not going to give you any theoretical framework. I'm not going to share any presentation. I'll just talk about my learning and how do I see the VUCA world. And that's the one of the important things which we talked about, that everything collaboration doesn't include the team members. When we say the gender, and that's what I insist, 25% of the workforce has to be women. And we have moved a step ahead, and we said, okay, there is a concept called, when we are talking about physically challenged people, how do we introduce them? In India, you still don't have the concept. Your infrastructure is not yet designed. I'm talking of still, at Tata Steel we have progressed, but some of my plant operations are still not designed to take care of the women workforce. We have to have that infrastructure. Now we are moving a step ahead. I'm talking of the physically challenged people, and that's where the leadership is coming about. Third point which we said is transgenders. Are they part of our workforce? And all of us, not your generation, our generation, we used to laugh it off. Correct? We used to laugh it off. How is it possible? But today it is becoming a reality. It is becoming a reality. So that's what I wanted to say. That's the VUCA world, which is happening across, and all the leading organizations are realizing how the importance of, how this VUCA is impacting all of us. So I'll just talk about, my experience in VUCA. I think we had all heard about it in our management studies or various conferences which I used to attend. And I used to feel it is nothing to touch. I am in steel business. It is not going to impact me. Technology is changing, but it's changing somewhere else. Technological disruption is happening. I will have a laptop. I will have my, I had not heard of MS Teams, to be honest, before March 20th. 2020, I didn't know we had MS Teams, but we all used to rush for what? Video conferencing. So my secretary used to block my calendar and say, this room is booked because I will attend. And there used to be fight. If I have to travel for a board meeting, I have to travel. I will fly down in the morning, attend the meeting, come back. And we all were busy. Travel time was for 25-30% of my total utilized time, which was there. But you can understand how the VUCA, we had not heard about it, but on, I think, 23rd March 2020, we saw it with our own eyes. Correct? So even if you don't understand the full form of VUCA, we saw it happening. We didn't know what's happening. It's volatile, uncertain, ambiguous. We didn't know. Actually, when 22nd March, the notification came that you should shut down your operations, you shut down your offices. I thought it's only for 7-8 days. It's a year end, 31st March, we will come back and we will start continuing operations. 27 March, we'll attain our targets, year end targets, quarter end target. And then we realized on 25th March, our operations were shut down. We had never shut down our operations unless there is a breakdown. And it was an emotional decision. Your factory was shut. How? as a business leader, it was easy for me. Okay, do this. But for the workmen who were there on the shop floor, for them, they were used to coming to the operations and working there. And suddenly it was told to them, don't come. So we all saw what happened. And then I thought that, on the lighter side of it, I realized my IT team told me I used to have that, audio conferences, 20 people on the call. And then somebody said, there is a Zoom call. Okay. Then I said, okay, let's do Zoom call. But then Zoom call had its own issues in terms of security and all. Then we shifted to the MS Teams. And then we saw that everything for what I used to travel for, I think 5 hours to attend a 1 hour meeting, I could do it, sit in my house or sit in the comfort of my office and then get the meetings done. That is what changed. The technological disruption which was happening at that point of time, which we are all thought is not going to touch me, impacted everyone. I think that's the example which I would say, even for my generational leadership team, we were in for a shock and we learned it faster. Okay. So when it happened on 23rd March, so what was the thought? As I said, we said it might be temporary, transient, we'll do it, we'll manage it. But then as we saw, there was no end to it. It came first week of April, second week of April. What happens? Then the entire thought was whether you can, how do you survive? The cash flow was not there. There was a supply shock, there was a demand shock, and there was a confidence shock. Correct? More than the supply and demand, it was a confidence shock. All of us were scared. What's going to happen to us? All our savings, will we get our salaries? Are the business going to run? What kind of medicines will come up? So all of us were scared. Correct? It hit the confidence level of everyone. All of you must have been scared that you're getting into a college and then, what will happen to your campus placements, whether you will be there or not there. Everybody had started having a doubt, which we never thought. Correct? All of us had thought, but scared. There was a confidence shock. Then, obviously, when it happened, then the first thing which we did was how to survive. Correct? How do we survive? There is no cash flow. So that is where again the concept of the leadership where came in was daily management deployment, how quickly you can be agile, how quickly you can take a decision. So there were stand-up war room meetings led by the chief executive every morning for 1 hour to discuss on the health issues, on the business issues were taken. That is where the agility, I would say, I'll talk about it later, that how it happened. Then we were looking at surviving. But then as we graduated from April to May and come mid-June, then we started seeing some fundamental changes are happening. Some fundamental changes are happening. We sell steel and we have an internet portal. We have an e-commerce portal where we sell our steel. And we thought steel, I don't know, people will go and buy on the portal. They will go, the steel is used for, if you don't know, it is used for construction of houses. You must have seen some dirty product lying there. It's not a swanky or a high-tech product. All of you must be aware of IT and e-commerce, but if there's a dirty product called steel and cement, the steel is there. It's used for everything, including building your houses. We sell fencing wires. So we thought, how will the dealers across the countries are closed, tier 2, tier 3, rural part of India was slightly picking up better, but still most of the counters were closed. But then we were surprised to see that how our traffic onto the e-commerce portal was increasing. There was a fundamental change which we never thought is going to happen. How quickly even the people we thought are not good enough educated to adopt to the technology were adopting to this. And that is where I think quickly we realized that this VUCA or whatever this in COVID-2, which has happened, has given us a fantastic opportunity to look at this as not as a challenge, but this as an opportunity. And then see how can we build on this digitally and become a more dominant player in the future. The thought process shifted from surviving to thriving. So as a business leader, you will come across various situations in your lifetime on a career when this you will be forced to look at how do you survive. But then if you keep struggling only for surviving, I think then you will not thrive. And then you will manage the situation, because difference between surviving and thriving is surviving is if you think that it's only a one time event, it's an episodic event which has happened once, it will go away. But for the thriving mindset, look at it differently. It will look at it and say, yes, this has happened, but it is going to be continuous. Today, this is one disruption. There is going to be another disruption which is waiting. And it will fundamentally challenge me and will give me an opportunity to, I would say, re-architect, not the redesign. There's a difference. Most of us are busy in doing optimization and redesigning. And if we graduate from optimizing to redesigning, we think we have done our work. There's a small difference, but a substantial difference in the meaning between redesigning and re-architecting. I think that is where I would say I saw that my leadership team, and including me, we started looking at that, we have to re-architect what we do. So this is one thing which I would like to insist as a business leader, mentality of thriving. All of you, if you know swimming, if you, when you initially learn and what happens is that you struggle, your strokes are not correct. Some of you must have seen people doing swimming, their legs are apart, their hands are apart, their heads are moving in random directions. They get tired. Correct? They get tired very easily. So they can't swim a long distance because they want to survive somehow. And in that survival, they are in panic mode. They want to do it at that moment. But people who want a thrive mentality, I think I would give an example of that. People who initially do it, but then understand that the length of the pool is not 100 meters. It's going to be long. It's going to be long. So what they do is adjust their strokes. They move the head movement, the leg movement, and the head movement starts synchronizing. That you don't get tired. Correct? That's my way of explaining in simply words, is that because I have done swimming and I know that if you are, if you do the way, if I have survival mode, then you will get tired very easily. Some of the fundamental shifts which I feel have happened is that, some of you must be doing the HR activities also, must be, graduating in HR also, is that we looked at the worker or the employee's welfare as a separate subject. There was work, there was job description, there was, daily management reviews and all, and there was the workers or the employees' welfare, which was looked at it separately. There was executive health checkup, there was fun Fridays or some interaction, motivational events, and there was a separate thing which was there. There was work and there was welfare of the employees were treated separately. But it's become high time that once the health and safety became the topmost priority during this pandemic, or if I would say VUCA world, because I'm taking this COVID as a VUCA time for all the industry, is that you have to design the welfare of the employee, the workers in the work itself. It cannot be treated it separately. I'll give you an example of that. Two examples. One is which I think you will understand today's generation, which is tech savvy, is that when we started having this concept of work from home, or even if I used to go to office, a lot of my people were not coming to office, and I used to have these meetings, and then now it was much easier for me. You just send an invite, and 15 minutes you wanted everybody to be here on the Teams, correct? And then we started having meeting at 6:30, 7:30 p.m., 8 p.m. Correct? It was there. So work is separate, and then we used to have fun Fridays, a break event. We used to have fun, invite the families and talk to them. But then the youngsters like you, when we chatted with them, they said, "Boss, work is very boring. It's tiring us now. As such, we are not able to meet people physically because all of us are social animals. But we are not able to meet, and over that, there are meetings, but there are no timings. We don't have our me time. So can we start having digital breaks? We will not have meetings beyond this time unless it's so important. It was built into the work. When we started doing our operations, the work plant operations, at that point of time, testing and tracing was very important. But like in white collar jobs, people can work from home, but in the operations, it is important that they would be there on the shop floor. Correct? They will have to be on the shop floor, run the machines and dispatch the material. Everything has to happen. So how do we do that? While testing and tracing and was good, but then we found that people move around. Once they get into the gate, you can test their temperature, you can see the certificate. What happens inside, you can't keep track every time. So what we did is a concept called pods. If you must have heard pea in the pod, pod which is there, it is covered in a layer and it is there. So what we did is we created a pod system. Where suppose a work which was assigned, there was an electrical maintenance guy, there was a mechanical maintenance guy, there was an operations person, there was somebody else, a helper which was there. We created a pod. And we ensured that these people will move together. They will not interact with anyone else. So what we did is we built the welfare of the workforce or the employees, or looking the well-being of the employees in the work itself. We should not treat it separately. Second is, if I would give an example, is that there is a system called feedback system. All of you must have heard, and you must be doing it in your HR. Feedback is very important. Feedback is very important. But that's important because, but it's a post-mortem. Correct? Do you agree with me? It's a post-mortem. Feedback is a post-mortem. The event has happened. It's important to have it. But then how do we work? Have we talked about feed forward? We started talking about feed forward. What should we do for the future? Thriving mentality. Correct? We sit with your team and talk about what we should do for the future. Feed forward. As a leader, Anurag boss, you have to do this. There is a digital opportunity, a platform which is coming up. I was of the mindset that my physical channel should not get disturbed. There's a physical channel we have nurtured. We have traveled for last 20 years, 2 decades. I have personally nurtured as a junior and to the senior level. I have nurtured. How can we have a digital channel? Youngsters like you, they came up and they gave me a concept called phygital. Combination of physical and digital channel. A phygital channel. Have you heard this word, phygital? So it was very exciting in a sense. It's a new thing which was coming up in the feed forward. If it was a feedback, we would be continuing to do or improve upon the things which we were already doing. Incremental approach. But the focus shifted from the output to the outcomes. I think that's one more thing which I could feel is that the VUCA world, the leadership team and the team should look at outcome rather than output. Output is how can you control cost, you can produce more, how can you be more effective. Outcomes is you build scenarios and work on those scenarios, which might not be possible today, but you can start working on. So we have realized whatever we thought is not possible is possible today. I'm talking to you, so many people sitting in Bombay and Roorkee, and it's as good as being present in an auditorium. So that was one thing. Second thing is, I think what stands out for me, or what I felt more, while we have talked about teams playing a very important role, team, without team you cannot do it. But I think the importance of team became much more important. And then I read somewhere this concept called super teams. The super teams is what they said is that in a very predictable world, your algorithms and artificial intelligence can solve the problems. Correct? It can solve the problems. But in a volatile and ambiguous world, it would be difficult for that to happen. So that's where the human angle comes in. And that is what I think when we talk of work leadership and human capital management. So everything what you do is, when I talked about the first thing, well-being of the employees of the workforce into the design of the work itself. It was that you have to do everything with a human approach. Everything core, whatever decision you make as a leader, human has to be kept at the center of that. The super team is that which become very important is that we started using technology. So technology was what was used. We thought, okay, something is not happening properly. Let's bring in technology and try to improve it. So technology was treated as an enabler. But I would say that we should treat it as a partner. One more team member. That's what I said, phygital. It is a partner. It's not enabler only. So technology, along with the people or the human, can make a super team. And that's where I would say the algorithms, artificial intelligence, and the human angle working together can give you fantastic results. Correct? So this is what I thought the second point. The third point, which I had written down, was example which came to my mind for the second super team is the how the vaccine was developed. It didn't develop because of there was an algorithm in artificial intelligence. There were people who had multiple years of experience in different fields. Somebody had worked on bird flu, somebody had worked on various bacterial and viral diseases. They came, collaborated with each other and used technology, and technology was a partner to that. And that is why they could, within a 12 months time, we had a vaccine on our table. And you've seen how this in India itself it has been rolled out. We never thought 100 crore people. Today, everybody, wherever you go in India, fantastic. You can get your certificate. You have WhatsApp, you have messages, you have everything on which you can get your certificate. One more example, we should not be treating as technology as only enabler, treat it as a partner and look at super teams. Third, I think most importantly, in my opinion, is the role of fundamental shift in the role of HR. HR was a kind of enabler for the business. As a business leader, we used to say we need so many people, we recruit so many people, go give this training and all, and the HR was used. But today, HR was playing a pivotal role in any business decision which you were making. It was at the center. Again, a mentality shifted from surviving to thriving. So, so there is again, which I gave an example of, optimizing to re-architecting, that is what the HR should also look at it. Because job descriptions and all can help you in a normal world. Huh? But today, if the situation is so volatile and ambiguous, the job description itself will not be able to help you. So that is where I would say that the people have to be agile, the leaderships have to be agile, collaborative, feed forward, not feedback, use technology as a partner to overcome this, what's happening around us. But again, if I say saying that the human angle has to be at the center of every business decision which you take is easier said than done. But I think as a Tata Group, and I worked in Tata Steel for a long period of time, so I can say that that's the fundamental thing which an organization has to have. Tata Group has always said that we always have human and the people at this approach. But I think what three things which I would say is purpose. Then is the potential and the perspective. Then any organizations have to look at this. Purpose is that whatever happens, the purpose of the organization remains. So suppose you're human, people centric, society centric, whatever happens, you will continue to do that. There is a purpose of existence of an organization. A potential. You don't looking at only skilling people, what person is doing, what he has been recruited for, what is his job description, keep doing it, keep incremental. Look at the potential of the person. He might have spent 10 years in certain role, but he might have something else in his mind which he can deliver. We had people who were working in administration, but he had the excellent safety mindset. He was very good at coordination, looking, getting the vaccination. We had a vaccination drive. The person who was safety, handled it so well. I was not looking at administration guy to execute the vaccination because he was treating it as this is the SOP, call people, they will come and then I will vaccinate them, give them tick. The safety guides are people will not come, they have some inhibitions in their mind. So you realize that this person has more connect with people, he has much more potential, to do execute administration job at some point of time. We used him. He is more empathetic. He was not treating it as a tick mark, a vaccination drive. He was feeling pride that I got this done. I convinced the person, him or her, to come. That's what I said, potential. That's where the HR role fundamentally comes in. And the third is perspective. How an organization look at any, volatility or whatever ambiguity as a what perspective? Surviving, thriving. Looks at, okay, this is disaster. This is going to one-time event. We are set back. How will we overcome this? Or we say, okay, this is a great opportunity. It's a challenge in the immediate future, but it gives a brilliant opportunity for the organization to look at. How this India has fast-tracked, I think, the digital deployment across the organizations. I've seen Tata Steel, including myself, how we have been able to fast-track it. We always, so that's important. How do we look at any opportunity? So today, our digital sales are approximately 2%, which was 0.5% a year back before the pre-COVID. And we were all of the mindset, it's not going to happen. It happened. We said we should have swanky offices, big corporate offices, big rooms, big chambers. But today we are saying we don't need that fundamental shift. But yes, we also realize that people need to come back to the office. People would like to come back to the office because, as I said, we are social animals. But do we need to call them every day, or do we call them alternate day? Can we give them flexi work from home? Is it important to punch in at 9:30, traveling in the peak traffic, or can we say 11 a.m. and they can work for 5 hours, 6 hours, and then go back? We trust them. Our leaves are self-approved now. If somebody has a COVID, he doesn't need to take an approval that I am sick, I'm approved. Self-certified. So I think these are the fundamental things which I think, in my opinion, which I said, is that well-being of the employees into the workforce itself, you could design it accordingly. Super teams concept, technology as a partner, collaborative approach. Third is your fundamental role change in the role of HR, not reskilling, not doing anything, but look at fundamentally how can, which I talked about, purpose, potential, and the perspective. So I think these are the thoughts which I wanted to share with you. And I think I have taken exactly half an hour time. And that's it from my side. I hope you didn't find it boring. I didn't use any frameworks and all. I'm ready to take any questions you have. I'd be happy to answer. Thank you.
Guys, you can start asking questions to sir.
I have a question like how the uncertainties like COVID has impacted the internal work environment and the culture of the organization.
So Abhishek, you said culture, and prior to that, what did you say? I missed it.
Internal work environment.
Internal work environment. Correct? If I understand, internal work
Yes,
environment.
sir.
Okay. See, the culture of the organization is in the DNA. It doesn't change easily, as I said. The purpose. Correct? We always were people centric, but we had different policies that somebody has to punch in at 9:30, and people, the superior has to approve the leave. But we said, why? If we are people centric and we talk about it, that's our culture. But then we gave them back into, so we, whatever policies which we had, so culture remained same, but there were policies which were framed, were changed. The culture remained same. The pupil centricity is the important thing. Correct? So the policies change, the culture doesn't change. People will change the culture, but it will not happen overnight. The cultures are built over a period of time. You can't change it in 1 year or 2 years. People have to work hard, and the organizations have to work hard. So internal work environment have changed, that we thought that everybody has to, the way the work can be done. We never thought the way the work is being done today could be done 1.5 years back. So I think digital technology or the technology has played a fundamental role in changing that work environment. Second is we realize that offices are not important. So that is what there again that culture, the work environment will change. Some of our backend staff which used to travel, for primarily the female employees who used to travel 1.5 2 hours every day, morning, evening. And if I talk to them today, they used to be, back-end employees doing call center plus kind of clerical work, logging orders and collection and all. I would say they are the happiest. Their productivity has, increased twofold. So again, I'm saying to that, while the policies which we designed happened by design, we looked at it, people centricity, but this we never thought it happened. Now we are looking back and saying the offices are not important. Some people will not come to office. We are giving an option for people to come to them also. So most of them, we are tagging them as flexi, we are tagging them from permanent work from home. And obviously the operations people have to come, so they have to be, work from the place, but from office. But for the white collar people, we are tagging them across. So that is, I think, Abhishek, that's how things have changed. More collaboration, more trust. Earlier, people used to pass the buck. There was a big organization, people will, agility has become a talk of the day. Decisions have to be taken, because if there is a war room meeting every day morning where CEO and MD will take the, decisions, they will listen from you. I think the agility is driven from there. So I think these are fundamental shifts. The agility of the organization, how people look at work also has changed substantially, and technology has played a bigger role in changing that environment. I hope I have been able to answer, Abhishek.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah, Deep.
Yes, sir. Sir, how can we make infrastructure in India which also take care transgender, female, physically handicapped person? Question.
Okay. So I think it is not a new thing for the world. It is new thing for India. As far as there are various agencies which are working in this direction. So they will do the audit of your workplace, and they can give us, see, if we can design a workplace or the infrastructure for men, and why we can't design it for women. So I don't understand, do we need a rocket science for that? Correct? But there are agencies, there are experts which are available for that. So we have worked with them. Like I wanted my operations to be aligned for that, what we're talking. So while we had certain thoughts, they will come and audit, and they gave us a list of recommendations, what needs to be done. While for, gender diversity is simple, but for the physically challenged, it is slightly difficult, because there's a lot of infrastructure, physical infrastructure needs to be upgraded. Now we don't have ramps. We are used to climbing the stairs, and the lifts are not there. So I think there is small things which are not there, and it is inherently not designed 15 years back, 20 years back. So changing them will take some time, but we are moving in that direction. But as far as the gender diversity is concerned, we are very capable of. We are running a shift. I'm very proud to say, which is all women shift, even the night shift, and they're running the cranes. They're driving the dumpers, 50-ton dumpers in our mines. So you can imagine, what our thought process, what we used to think 5 years back, how we have shifted. It's again the leadership which you are talking of. Thought that there is no difference between a man and a woman. Just give them the opportunity, and obviously create an environment and the infrastructure.
Sir, can we extend the session for 5 more minutes to have a couple of questions?
Yeah,
Or
5 more minutes, 12:10. I'll just appreciate. I'll have to go.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
I
sir.
have a question. Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, research said that the per capita labor productivity in India is around 90 to 100 tons, which is the lowest in the world. So, what could be done to improve productivity in India? Steel industry.
In the steel industry.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so again, I'm saying ki productivity is looking at traditional way of how do we look at it, improving output, reducing cost, and all. But today, I think the technology has given you that you don't need to be physically present. Huh? Today, if somebody, I was there in Singapore with a mining company. There's a chief operating officer was sitting in a swanky office in Singapore and could see their operations in across the world. How the dumpers, how many dumpers are going in, how many dumpers are going out. They have a vehicle tracking system. So technology today has provided enough means, I would say, to, again, I'm saying not monitoring, building into the work design of the, improving the way the people work. I just had noted down one line. I somehow, if I see that, I will do it. But I had written a very good line, but I'll tell you how the technology has been integrated, should be integrated into the design to improve everything. Because if the well-being of the employee improves, it is important. Then the productivity will be a kind of a fallout. You should target the well-being of the employee. What I said, what he is capable of. Productivity will be a result.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for answering the questions even in such a tight schedule. I believe we can now move on to the formal vote of thanks. I would like to express my gratitude to Anurag, sir, on behalf of DOMS IIT Roorkee. Thank you, sir, for fitting in this session in your busy schedule. Thank you so much for your wonderful insights. The session was both inspirational and informational to us. The insights you shared on gender diversity at workplace, including women and transgender, the uncertainties like COVID and its impact on the operations, the role of agility and adaptability in VUCA world were of great value to us. I'm sure that the students will remember these teachings and these learnings and would help them lifelong. In our honor, we'll continue the legacy of Avenir, and for this year's initiative, we have decided to support the children with speech and hearing impairment and thus breaking the silence. So we usually hold a brief interaction section, but given the time constraint, our member of the class committee will reach out to you separately. Thank you so much, sir, for the session.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed talking to you and looking at my alma mater at the background. See you sometime if physically possible. And you can take my mail ID from there. And if you need any help, any guidance, if I am of any use to all of you, please feel free. My contact numbers are also there with Sarvesh. Anytime you can feel free to speak to me. Okay. Thank you very much. Wish you good luck. Stay safe and all the best.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.